When you think of someone who is highly intelligent with money, what comes to mind? You probably picture someone with an Ivy League finance degree, someone who can read complex spreadsheets, or someone who aggressively debates stock market trends at dinner parties. Most people associate intelligence with credentials, good grades, or the ability to confidently win an argument. But when it comes to building real wealth, psychology tells a completely different story. True cognitive sophistication and financial intelligence rarely announce themselves in public. They operate quietly and privately in the moments that nobody else witnesses. Your bank account is ultimately a reflection of your mind. If you want to know if you possess the rare type of intelligence required to build lasting wealth, you shouldn't look at your stock portfolio today, you should look at how you think when you are entirely alone. If you consistently practice these 6 quiet habits behind closed doors, your level of intelligence is far rarer than you have ever been told. The first habit of a highly intelligent mind is that you sit with uncomfortable questions without forcing an immediate answer. The average mind absolutely despises uncertainty. When a financial crisis hits, when the stock market drops, or when a career path feels unstable, the average person rushes to a conclusion, grabs the nearest available explanation, and seals the case shut. They panic sell their investments or make impulsive career jumps just to relieve the anxiety of the unknown. But a genuinely sharp mind does something that feels almost counterintuitive. It tolerates the extreme discomfort of not knowing. When you find yourself sitting alone turning a difficult financial question over and over in your mind without demanding an immediate resolution, you are exercising one of the highest cognitive functions possible. Psychologists call this epistemic patience, and in the world of money, this rare trait is exactly what prevents catastrophic, fear-based financial mistakes. Most people spend their private mental energy trying to reinforce what they already think. They replay financial debates they had with coworkers, construct imaginary arguments where they win, and quietly congratulate themselves on their own financial genius. But true financial intelligence looks very different. If you regularly find yourself alone, genuinely challenging your own deeply held financial beliefs, you are practicing a quality called active self-opposition. Maybe you have always believed that buying a house is the only way to build wealth. Instead of just looking for articles that prove you right, you actively build the strongest possible case against your own opinion. You research why renting and investing the difference might actually be mathematically superior. Mentally arguing against your own beliefs is the internal engine behind every major intellectual breakthrough, allowing you to sidestep the blind spots that keep everyday people broke. Anyone can feel an emotion, but very few people actually study their emotions like data. Think about the last time you made a massive impulse purchase, or the last time you felt a surge of jealousy looking at a friend's new car. Did you just feel the emotion and move on? If you find yourself sitting alone and quietly observing why a specific situation triggered that spending urge, you are doing something remarkable. Tracing that emotional pattern backward to its psychological root is a practice called metacognition, and most people never access it in their entire lives. You realize you didn't buy that designer watch because you needed it, you bought it because you felt insecure in a recent business meeting. This private habit of studying your own emotional reactions is the single defining line that separates reactive emotional spenders from genuinely intelligent investors. We all have financial regrets. Maybe you took on too much student debt, trusted the wrong business partner, or blew your savings in your 20s. The average person suppresses those memories out of shame, but highly intelligent people regularly revisit old memories, old lessons, and old conclusions not out of nostalgia, but to reinterpret them through a more developed lens. If you have ever been sitting alone and suddenly realized that a massive financial failure you experienced years ago actually means something entirely different now, that is a defining marker of deep intellectual growth. Your mind is not just storing the painful information of losing money, it is actively reorganizing it to make you sharper, more resilient, and more strategic for the future. This is cognitive flexibility at its absolute best. Shallow curiosity is purely transactional. Most people only learn about money or finance if it helps them look impressive, earn a quick buck, or solve an immediate, urgent problem. The moment the immediate payoff disappears, their desire to learn vanishes. But if you regularly find yourself alone diving deeply into a subject like the history of economics, how supply chains work, or the psychology of human behavior that has absolutely no practical payoff for your current life, you are different. You are doing it simply because something about it endlessly fascinates you. That intrinsic intellectual drive is one of the absolute clearest psychological signals of a high-functioning mind. Over the long term, that deep, unpaid curiosity compounds into a massive reservoir of knowledge that eventually pays the highest dividends. Finally, there is the habit of the mid-thought edit. Most people commit to a mental direction or a financial plan and follow it to the bitter end out of sheer cognitive habit and stubborn ego. They refuse to admit they were wrong. But if you regularly catch yourself mid-thought, recognize that your initial financial reasoning was completely flawed or incomplete, and voluntarily redirect your thoughts without your ego getting in the way, you are demonstrating real-time intellectual agility. The ability to self-correct while you're thinking, not weeks after the damage is done, is a capacity that formal education almost never teaches. True intelligence, especially financial intelligence, has always lived in private. It is not the performance you give in a boardroom, and it's certainly not the cleverness or wealth you try to display on social media. It is the quiet, disciplined, and often completely invisible work your mind does when absolutely no one is watching. If these 6 habits already live inside you, recognize that they have always been there. You simply needed someone to finally name them. You already have the rare intellectual machinery required to build a massive, meaningful life. Trust your mind, stay quiet, and let your results do the talking. See you in the next one.